Hey there, we have like eons of stories to tell, so if you want to follow us along on this journey and keep up with all the stories that we have putting out, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hope you enjoy. Thank you. Hey, what is up, y'all? Chad is here, and today we're continuing with Injustice. Okay, so last we left on Injustice, Superman had just killed the entire army of Calibek and pretty much Darkseid, right? Calibek took Darkseid's forces, the parademons, to Earth on like a planetary invasion, killed a bunch of people, and Superman had enough of it, and he just killed Calibek and the entire army in like a few seconds, right? So this is the aftermath of this, right? And like the entire world is celebrating, right? And that's what Wonder Woman and Catwoman are saying, right? They're talking to Superman and Batman, and they're basically saying that everyone is, like they're cheering for Superman, right? Like they think that he did a good thing, right? And what Batman is saying is he just took so many lives, right? And Superman, he's just looking at it as in like so many lives were lost on Earth, right? Like he's not talking about the parademons, like he doesn't really care about those guys. He's talking about the innocent people who were there and were just killed in basically in an invasion from Calibek, right? And Batman, he's just talking about the parademons, right? The people who don't really matter, the people who should be, who should have been killed in the first place, right? So when Wonder Woman's talking to Superman, she's basically looking at it she's looking at it as like a glass half full, while Superman's looking at it as a glass half empty, right? Like he's looking at it in the bad perspective. Wonder Woman is just, like saying that he did a good thing, right? By killing the entire army, right? So what they're talking about is they're basically saying that they need more people around the world, right? Because they can't monitor every single thing that happens on the planet, right? They need more people, more superpowered beings around the world to basically, help them out, right? So they need more eyes on the planet pretty much, right? So when they're saying that, what Lex Luthor says is there will be eventually, right? Like we might not have the amount of people that we need to watch the planet, but we will, right? Like basically insinuating that he's working on something, right? So Batman and his team, they're like talking, right? And basically what Batman says is he's not coming back from this, right? Like Superman, he crossed the line, he killed that entire army, took all of those lives. There's no coming back, right? Like he's gone too far. There's nothing we can do to help him, right? Like we have to just stop him. This is basically like where Batman is just like, that's it. Like we have to stop this guy, right? We can't talk him down. That's it. We just have to we have to stop him, right? So Huntress, like, she responds, and basically she's saying, it's a good thing that he did that, right? Like he saved all the lives that would have been killed by this invasion, if he had not, reacted the way that they did, right? Like if he wouldn't have killed those parademons, they probably would have killed way more people than they did, right? Like he basically did the world a favor by stopping those guys, right? And Batman, he's still looking at it in the negative, right? So she ends up like calling him Bruce, like accidentally, and he's like, he just like looks at her, right? Because and everyone in here in this room, they don't know who Batman is, right? Like Huntress knows, but not everyone knows, right? And everyone's just like confused. They're like, oh, Bruce, who is that? Like, like stuff like that, right? So what she says is like, like you have these people following you, just like blindly trusting you, right? But you don't even trust them enough with your identity, right? So what Batman does is he takes off his helmet. He shows all of these people who he is. Green Arrow, Captain Atom, like everyone else that already knew, they now know that he's Bruce Wayne, right? Like Batman is Bruce Wayne, right? So when he's doing that, right, he's showing them who he is. Basically, there's this alert that shows up, right? And there's these cultists, right? Like there's this cult, and they're like going around and they're just like killing criminals, right? So they take off and they just go and try to find this cult, right? They're just trying to stop these people. And what these dudes are doing is they're trying to kill every single criminal that they can find, right? They're following the footsteps of Superman, what he did to the Joker, and like the parademons and all that stuff. And they're just like killing these criminals, right? And Batman and his team, they're trying to stop them, right? So when they actually get the upper hand on these guys, they start taking them out, stuff like that. Green Lantern, Superman, and Wonder Woman show up, right? And basically what they're telling Batman and his team to do is leave, right? Like you're not needed here. We don't need your help. Like we got this. Leave, right? And Batman and Superman, they have a stare off, right? Like they are like in each other's grill, right? Like they look like they're actually about to get into it and like fight right here. But what Catwoman says is, no, let's not do this right here, right? Because the only one of us who can actually stand up to them would be Captain Atom, right? And even then, he's gonna lose by himself. We can't fight these guys here, right? So Batman and his team, they all leave, right? So from here, we actually, we get a little more on what, Lex Luthor was talking about when he said there's going to be more people, when he said there's going to be more superpowered beings, like roaming the earth, stuff like that. This is what he's working on, right? It's like this little pill, right? And basically what this pill is going to do is, it's going to give, it's basically going to give people enhancements, right? Give people powers, all the powers of Superman. That's pretty much what these little pills do, right? So when he's talking about that, he's saying that, like these little pills will help Superman, you know, like ensure peace around the world, right? That's what he wants, that's what he needs. And what his parents are saying is no, like Superman's parents, they don't agree with it, right? They like, he just needs, you know, to talk, right? Like he needs to talk through his emotions. He just lost his wife and his unborn kid. He needs to process this, right? He's not processing it in the right way. Immediately after that happened, he basically just sat by himself, right? And what anyone will tell you, being lonely, like when you're grieving, it's pretty dangerous, right? Like it'll lead you to some dangerous, you know, like dark places. That is not necessarily a good thing, right? And that's what happened to Superman, right? Like he sat by himself for a long time. He sat with his own thoughts, you know, grieving by himself. He didn't have anyone to talk to, and he just like snapped, right? That's basically how that happened, right? So from there we go to Superman and Flash, right? And with Superman and Flash, you know, they're just talking, right? And basically what Superman asks him is, you know how to play chess? You know, like Barry Allen, he's like, I mean, you know, I used to play when I was younger, you know, stuff like that, but I don't really know how to play it. So Superman, he gives Flash like this you know, quick rundown on the game of chess, right? And being the super quick thinker that he is, Barry Allen, you know, he learns it, you know, in a matter of seconds, you know, just like that. You know, it's not that big a deal. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna play a game, right? Like they're gonna play a game of chess, and what this is doing is it's basically showing like the conversation going through chess, right? Like it'll, like whenever they say checkmate, it's basically them like, you know, like putting in a good point, right? That's pretty much how it's gonna work, right? So basically what Superman says is, you know, like I want to talk to you, right? I want to get rid of all the guns, right? And what Superman says is checkmate. He's like telling Barry Allen that he could do it, right? That they're having a super quick game of chess, right? And he's like telling Barry Allen that they can do it, right? I want to get rid of all the guns, you know, like we could do it, you know, like a day or two. We can get rid of every single gun, right? And what Flash says is, I mean, yeah, but like we can't get rid of every single one, you know, like we can't find every single gun on the planet and get rid of it, right? You know, just like that. So what Barry Allen is trying to, like, he's trying to make this point, right? He's saying like I mean, we don't, you know, just because we can, we shouldn't, right? Like we shouldn't, you know, just like take everyone's gun, right? Like we should let them have the choice of taking their guns, you know, stuff like that, right? Because if they just take their guns away, people are gonna hate them, right? Because they're basically taking away their defense. Like there's not gonna be, you know, any good, you know, repercussions coming out of, you know, taking the guns away, other than people actually, you know, being able to, like, you know, keep themselves alive. But at the same time, they will hate the Justice League for taking their guns away, right? So Barry Allen, he starts taking over, right? And what Barry Allen is saying is like, okay, yeah, you can start with guns, you know, just like that. What about cigarettes though? You know, like they kill way more people than guns ever have. Like, you know, like people, like they smoke cigarettes, they know it's killing them, but they do them anyway, right? He's like saying like, yeah, like tomorrow we can get rid of cigarettes, right? You know, like we can get rid of cigarettes. After that, you know, we can stop, you know, anyone who speeds in the car, right? Like let's throw them in jail, right? Like let's just get them out the way, right? Anyone that leaves a dangerous dog in chain, you know, like those can go too. Like take every single one of them, like all of them, they can go. Like, and you know, like we can kill people who don't recycle, you know, like get rid of them, right? Like they're endangering the earth, you know. Let's take those guys out the way too, right? Like they're a hindrance to the progress of, you know, humanity, right? Like let's kill every single one of those guys, right? You know, he's just checkmate after checkmate after checkmate, right? That's basically how this is working, right? So with that going on, you know, like he's making all his good points. We go back to Lex Luthor, right? And what Lex Luthor is saying is, he basically feels guilty that, you know, like he survived when the rest of the world, well, when the rest of Metropolis didn't, right? Like when that warhead went off, he basically survived. You know, he was taken to his bunker, and like everyone else in Metropolis was basically incinerated, right? Like they were just destroyed. Like there was no hope for them at any point in time to get out of there or anything, right? If they weren't a speedster, they died there, right? So he feels guilty for that. Superman's parents are telling him is, you know, like they're talking to him. They're saying like, you know, like, we get that, okay? Like you feel guilty, yeah, but Superman, he's going too far. You know, we have to stop him at some point, right? You just created the only thing that probably can, right? Like the only thing that will probably put anyone on his level to stop him, you just created it, right? So when the time comes for you to actually, you know, do something right, do what's good, we're gonna need you to do that, right? Pop one of those pills and take Superman down, right? So from there we skip ahead to the Watchtower, right? And what's basically going on is he's showing them about the pills, right? Like, you know, like it's you know, a pill to basically give them all the powers of Superman, you know, just like that. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to figure out who to give these pills to, right? Like they're talking about, you know, like normal people. They're not talking about other heroes. They're talking about like the actual normal people who they trust, right? Like they, like, you know, people in their lives, right? Like, you know, like family, friends, you know, stuff like that, right? People that they can trust with these powers to actually, you know, uphold peace. So when they're doing that, basically Hawkgirl, like she's chiming in, right? Like Hawkgirl, every time they say something, she's chiming in, and she's basically, it seems like she's just like trying to convince them not to do what they're doing, like basically trying to convince them to stop, right? So while that's happening, right, basically Damian Wayne, he's teleporting, right, like he found a teleporter and he's gonna go to Gotham City, right? So Hawkgirl, he follows her, like he followed her to where he's at, you know, like teleporting to Gotham City. You know, it seems like she's gonna follow him, but we're not too sure yet, right? So he gets to Gotham City and he's in the Batcave, right? And he's like looking at the suit of Nightwing, right? He's looking at the costume, and you know, like he's mourning a little bit, right? Because he basically sees himself as the reason Nightwing died, which he was, but you know, he's not. It's not like that he did it intentionally, right? It was just a freak accident. That's all it was, pretty much, right? So when he's like, you know, sitting there just like, you know, mourning, you know, Nightwing, you know, stuff like that, Alfred shows up, and you know, Alfred is talking to him, you know, asking him if he got his letter, you know, stuff like that, basically greeting him back, right? So when they're talking, eventually Batman shows back up, right? And Batman, he is super hostile towards Damian Wayne at this point, right? Because Damian Wayne, yeah, he's his son, but at the same time, Batman saw Dick Grayson as one of his sons, right? Like he basically, after Dick Grayson, his family was killed, you know, stuff like that, Batman took him in, and it basically hurt him when Nightwing was killed by Damian Wayne because of the anger that Damian Wayne possesses in himself, right? So when he's like, you know, asking him like why are you here, you know, like you shouldn't be here, you know, stuff like that, Damian Wayne, he decides to leave, right? So Alfred, you know, he tries to get Damian Wayne to stay, right? And he's like telling Batman, like, you know, like your son is here, like, you know, like he's sad, you know, he wants to talk to his dad, like don't be Batman right now, right? Be Bruce Wayne, okay? Don't be Batman. Don't be super aggressive. Don't be hostile towards your son. Be Bruce Wayne. Be the father that you are, right? And so Batman, you know, he listens to this, right? He's like okay, yeah, let's talk real quick, Damian, you know, just like that. And like from there, like Damian Wayne just starts going at Batman, right? Like he's just going at Bruce Wayne, like personally, right? And he's like telling him like yeah, it's everything's about you. You know, you don't care about like how this affects everyone else. It's all about Bruce Wayne, right? Like that's basically what's going on. And when Alfred tries to like console him, Damian Wayne, he throws his hand back, sends Alfred flying into a computer monitor, right? So Batman, he freaks out, right? He like goes to try to like, you know, like grab Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne punches him, sends him flying into the gold penny, right? He sends Batman flying, right? And from there, like after he hits the giant penny, it literally just starts falling over, right? And it's gonna crush Alfred until Hawkgirl shows up, right? And as soon as Hawkgirl shows up, you know, she catches the penny, and you know, like Damian Wayne, he starts like thinking, right? He like starts putting it together. Like he goes and helps Alfred. He's like, okay, yeah, like what's going on, you know, stuff like that. I didn't know how strong I was. I wasn't trying to do that on purpose, you know, just like that. And Hawkgirl, he tries to take Damian Wayne away, right? And when he does that, Batman stops her, right? Like Batman's like, no, like leave him here, right? Like we're gonna leave him here. So she stops, right? And Damian Wayne, he starts putting it together just like this, right? So he starts asking these questions, right? Like, when do you start listening to Batman, right? Like, Batman doesn't, you know, control you. Like, why are you listening to Batman, right? Like, and you know, he starts asking, like, how do you even know where this place is? Like, you've never been here before. You shouldn't know where this place is. Like, what's going on, right? And he starts putting it together, right? Like, talking about the pills, and you know, like how she kept trying to, like, you know, basically doubt everything about the pills, you know, stuff like that. And basically, he realizes she's not supposed to be that strong, right? Like she's not supposed to be able to catch that penny, right? Like that thing is really it. Like you're strong, but you're not that strong, right? And what he realizes is it's not Hawkgirl, right? And what he does is he lights this incendiary grenade and basically throws it at the ground, right? Revealing it to be the Martian Manhunter, right? He was basically like posing as Hawkgirl this entire time, right? Like after he realized like that there's like a lot of stuff that didn't make sense with her, it had to be Martian Manhunter, right? The shapeshifter. There's literally no one else that it could be, right? So what he does is he takes off, right? He gets out of there, like he goes, right? So when they try to stop him, right, they realize this is bad, right? Because they know now Batman had like a lot of intel about what was going on, you know, in terms of, you know, Martian Manhunter being Hawkgirl in the Justice League, right? Like he knows a lot what's going on, and basically at this point, Damian Wayne is gonna go back and tell them that it was Martian Manhunter. It wasn't Hawkgirl, right? Like she's still captured, so it's gonna bring, you know, it's gonna bring a lot more hostility towards Batman and his team, right? So we're gonna end this video here. If you enjoyed this story, leave a like, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and I will see y'all in the next one.